You don't actually fail at trading when you make a bad decision. You fail earlier than that. You fail the moment you stop telling yourself the truth. Not a dramatic lie, not an obvious one, a quiet one, the kind that sounds reasonable. It shows up as, I know what I'm doing. I've seen this before. I don't need to wait this time. That's the moment the drift begins. Most traders think failure is loud, explosive, emotional. It's not. It's subtle, calm, confident, and that's why it's dangerous. Because when you feel emotional, you're on guard, but when you feel certain, you lower it. Certainty doesn't feel like risk, it feels like clarity. But clarity doesn't rush, certainty does. Watch how it happens. Price moves, your attention tightens, your patience shortens. You stop asking questions and start making assumptions. You don't notice it at first because nothing feels wrong. That's the trick. You're not breaking rules yet, you're just loosening them, giving yourself room to be flexible, to adapt. That word, adapt, has ended more accounts than bad strategies ever will, because adaptation sounds smart. It sounds like experience, like growth, like mastery. But most of the time, it's just your nervous system looking for control. Control over uncertainty, control over waiting, control over not knowing. So it offers you a shortcut, not an obvious one, a believable one. This is close enough. This counts. I'll manage it if it goes against me. And the moment you accept that logic, your process stops protecting you. Because the protection was never the rule. It was your willingness to stay honest under pressure. That's what actually keeps you safe. Not discipline, not motivation, not intelligence. Honesty. Honesty about what you're feeling. Honesty about why you want to act. Honesty about whether this trade aligns with who you're trying to become. Most traders don't lose money because they don't know what to do. They lose money because they stop being honest in moments that matter, and the market doesn't punish ignorance. It punishes self deception. Once you see that, you start paying attention to different moments, not entries, not exits, but the internal shift that happens right before both. That's where the real work lives. Once you see how self deception works, you start noticing how early it appears. It doesn't show up when the trade goes wrong. It shows up when the trade almost qualifies. Almost is dangerous. Almost looks close enough. Almost feels justified. Almost sounds intelligent. And almost is where honesty starts to bend. You tell yourself you're being flexible. You tell yourself experience matters more than rules. You tell yourself this isn't breaking the process, it's refining it. But notice what's missing. There's no curiosity, no checking, no slowing down. Just momentum. Momentum inside your thinking, not on the chart. That's the difference most traders miss. When momentum shows up internally, clarity disappears. Because clarity asks questions, momentum skips them. And the faster your thoughts move, the less honest they become. This is why bad trades often feel smooth right before they fail. There's no friction, no pause, no resistance, no second look. You feel aligned, but you're actually unchecked. Unchecked behavior is where identity slips. Not all at once, gradually. You stop trading who you decided to be. You start trading who feels comfortable in the moment. That shift is subtle, but it compounds. Because once comfort becomes the goal, truth becomes optional. And when truth becomes optional, your edge disappears quietly. Not dramatically, not obviously, quietly. This is why consistency isn't about effort, it's about honesty under pressure. Can you stay honest when the trade is tempting? When waiting feels pointless? When certainty feels good? Most people can't, not because they're weak, but because they've never trained that skill. Honesty is a skill, and like any skill, it only shows up under stress if it's been practiced there. That's why repeating the same mistakes doesn't mean you're failing. It means you're practicing the wrong response. And until the response changes, the outcome won't. This is where things start to flip. Because once you recognize that honesty is the real edge, you stop asking, how do I trade better? And start asking, where do I stop telling myself the truth? That question changes everything. You don't fix self deception by trying to be tougher. You fix it by slowing down enough to notice when it starts. Because the moment you catch it early, it loses its leverage. Not through force, through exposure. Self deception only works when it stays invisible. The second you see it happening, it has to change its shape. It can't pretend to be logic anymore. It can't hide behind confidence. It becomes what it always was, an attempt to escape discomfort. That's when something important clicks. You realize you don't need to stop the urge. You just need to stop believing it. The urge can exist, the pressure can exist, the temptation can exist. None of those are the problem. The problem is when you confuse them for truth. Once that confusion breaks, your relationship with trading changes. You stop reacting to thoughts as if they're commands. You stop treating certainty like evidence. You stop letting comfort rewrite your standards. And slowly, almost quietly, your process starts holding again. Not because you tightened it, because you stopped leaking integrity. This is the part people underestimate. Integrity isn't about morality, it's about internal alignment. Are your actions consistent with the trader you say you're becoming in the exact moments it's uncomfortable to be? That's the real test. When you can answer that honestly, your behavior stabilizes on its own. You don't need reminders. You don't need discipline hacks. You need awareness in the moment. Truth tries to bend. That awareness compounds. Every time you pause instead of justify. Every time you check instead of assume. Every time you wait instead of rush. You're not just avoiding a bad trade. You're reinforcing a new identity. The trader who doesn't drift. The trader who doesn't negotiate standards. The trader who doesn't confuse certainty with clarity. And once that identity takes root, consistency stops feeling fragile. It starts feeling inevitable. Because you're no longer fighting yourself. You're finally aligned.